Welcome back, YouTube, for another performance psychology lesson today. Today is going to be on the emotions of fear and greed. We're going to kind of touch up on certain things that will cause those emotions and how to overcome them. So again, a lot of times when people come into markets, they come into markets and not knowing exactly what to look for. So they're just placing trades and they're unknowingly placing trades emotionally, even if they know a strategy, right? Because if you don't know specific areas to look at, you don't know price action movement and market structure, you can't do pattern recognition. It becomes a lot harder to apply a strategy, right? And people are always hopping from one strategy to another, always trying to change it, never giving it time to recognize the actual patterns forming, to recognize the patterns forming at structured areas, and to give the trade time to play out, right? So a lot of times people will fall into the emotional categories of hope, fear, and greed. Those are usually some of the main sources, or some of the main emotions that you'll have. And uncertainty is one of the main ones too, right? So there's different portions, or there's different things you can actually do as far as addressing the fear portion. And it kind of just depends. Some people are fearful of taking the trade, and mainly due to the fact that they've lost so many times that even in trades that look really good, they're still afraid of taking those trades. Some people are fearful of staying in trades, so they cut their winners short and they hold on to their losers. And just to touch up on this, for you guys, you for the people that are afraid of entering into trades, you have to have some type of checklist. You have to have some type of physical checklist and criteria for your trade in order to get you from that fearful point to understanding that this is the way that it's supposed to be. This is the process that I have. Check this, check this, check this. Everything kind of works out. I see it play out. I'm going to allow my trade to play out, right? So, again, a lot of times fear is brought up because you're uncertain about the trade and the trade direction where it's going to go, right? So if we're looking at S&P 500, if you understand the pattern, you can understand we moved down, we rounded out, we came back to a prior level of resistance, found support, and we should be trying to press 99.50 again, right? Pattern recognition is recognizing what the market has already done, how it's reacted to everything, and how it's going to react after this point, right? Recognizing that this should be somewhere along the lines of the correct move as we continue to go back up, given we're making a higher low and we've came from a low point, we rounded out, and we're finding structural support, right? Recognizing that just by looking at it is important, because you want to understand too that you're certain about the direction the trade's going to go. And that's where it all starts. Is fear is actually the second emotion you have. The first emotion you have is uncertainty, right? If you enter a trade, and you're uncertain about the trade, then you hope that the trade goes into your direction while you're holding on to it. When you hope that the trade goes into your direction and it comes back and it takes you out, that hope turns into fear, and that fear turns into frustration, frustration turns into anger, anger turns into revenge trading, and it's a constant cycle you go through, right? However, if you were to be able to address the actual emotion beforehand, the correct one, then you would be able to stop that. You would become consciously aware and you would now have a choice to stop that actual trade or cut it as you understand the feeling or the emotion at that point, right? So if you take a trade and you're uncertain about the trade and you're already in the trade, it's better for you to cut the trade than to hold on to it and lose more money, right? If people were to be able to address the actual emotions that they feel at that time and, stop them at that moment or do things to stop that cycle, their trading would actually be a lot more green days than red days because they're addressing the actual issues. Most times, people will blame the issues on all different types of things, the way the market conditions are, how volatile they are. I mean, the times that you're trading with news, all of that other stuff. They'll blame it on all different types of things, when in actuality, most times people are failing at trading and they're not becoming the trader they want to become. Has a lot more to do with self-awareness than it does market understanding, right? Self-awareness is way more important than actual market understanding, because even if you understand market movement really, really well, and you're not aware of the bad habits that you're creating and you're not trying to change that, you will still find no consistency in trading, right? Because again, self-awareness, becoming aware and stopping those bad habits from forming, stopping those emotional trades, right? Getting yourself away from doing those things, those are what's causing inconsistency in your trading. And usually a set of rules, right, or a process or criteria you have to check off, a physical criteria you would have to check off. What that does is it alleviates fear and it alleviates uncertainty, because the more times you see something play out according to the criteria that you have, according to the process that you have, the more certain and the more confident you'll become in your ability to trade that and see it and recognize it every single time. So again, that's going to be our lesson for today, but just take that. You want to have some type of physical uh, written out criteria or checklist to help you check off the dots or check off the boxes of what you want to see before you actually take the trade, so that you as a person can combat that uncertainty, that emotion of uncertainty, and you can fill it with confidence, instead of hope and instead of fear and instead of frustration. You can take that and you can say, oh, I'm looking for something along the lines of, we've moved down. If you're just using price action, like I usually do when we trade, I look at exactly what we've done so far. We've moved down, we've rounded out, we've tried to press the low again. We did again, broke through it, but came right back up, found support. This would be your fade opportunity. As we come back up again, we're rounding out. You can recognize the actual pattern is a cup and handle pattern. We find a support higher. Right, so let's go and mark this off. We find the support higher right here, and we recognize that this move actually should not be a downward move, but it should be a move that comes back up against the actual resistances. And if we find support again, if we find a pullback, again, we'll look for a support right around this area for a round out to come right back up to 2904.75, right? So we're recognizing what's taking place instead of just jumping in at any point because, well, this is a strategy we want to apply. No, a strategy is applied within the market structure development. And from there, that strategy needs to have some type of criteria around it. What has happened so far? You can use other things such as moving averages. You can use super trends. You can use volume. You can use pivot points, volume weighted average prices, your VWAPs. You can use any of those things, point of controls, that help you with an edge in trading. But you want to recognize specific patterns that are playing out to help you identify the approach you should be using. And within that approach, you want to have a specific criteria that you're checking off. So you do become certain about the actual trade that you're taking, and you do become confident, and you're not holding on to hope, but you know exactly what's going the anticipated move, right? And you can better manage your risk and your reward because now your mind is clear of the emotions that you feel, and you're actually looking for your exit, your stop, your take profits, all of that. Now you can focus on, instead of focusing on how you feel within the actual trade, right? Because again, it all goes back to when you do place yourself into a trade, the market will require you to have a response or a reaction, or to give a response or a reaction almost immediately, right? And most times, if you're not ready and you're not certain about what's going to happen, that reaction and response will be one of fear, right? And of hope. And if you continue to do that, you will then find yourself going into a cycle of constantly revenge trading. Well, it didn't work out this way, it's going to go the opposite way. You get on the opposite end and it goes the exact opposite of what you just placed your order on, and you get frustrated because you understood the direction, or you think you understood the direction, and you took the opposite end after it didn't work on you, and then it went into your direction, and that just leads to a bunch of different emotions along the way, right? So in order to break that cycle, for people who are afraid of getting into trades, have some physical checklist there, and mark off the criteria that you're looking for. For others that have the fear of just staying in the trade itself and letting the trade work out, that would mean that you have to trust your process. So what I tell most people to do is, once they place the trade, take the chart that they placed the trade on and either close it or remove it from the screen, or remove their hand from the actual mouse and allow the trade to play out. This will stop you from moving your stops, and this will stop you from micromanaging the trade to cut your winners too short, and just allow the trade to actually run its course, right? Some people think that's kind of crazy to be all in or all out, but to be honest, the only way you become certain and confident in your ability to trade a recognized pattern or a structured movement is to allow the trade to play out so you can see it happen and work, and you can build that confidence and that trust. All right, guys, that sums up the lesson today for the performance psychology. Thank you guys for being patient. I was supposed to do it on Sunday, but ran into a little bit of other work I had to take care of. So again, here it is for the week. That is your performance psychology lesson. You guys take care. You guys have a great week. If you guys have any questions, feel free to pop them here on YouTube, or you can come into Trade Pro Academy. Email me at david@tradeproacademy. You guys take care.